Help support the show by joining the Patreon or becoming a YouTube member. Also, hit that like button and subscribe if you want more Browns-focused content. If you ever wondered how much reputation and bias can protect you from the usual criticism, just look at what's going on with Pittsburgh and Aaron Rodgers and how people talk about that versus how the messaging has been about anything the Cleveland Browns do at the quarterback position. Now, obviously, the Browns have earned their reputation and have earned the lack of benefit of the doubt that they get at the quarterback position. I understand that. I'm not sitting here saying you got to trust what the Browns are doing at quarterback because look at what we've done. We ain't done shit at quarterback. I get that. But also, have the Steelers done anything with quarterback since Big Ben has retired? Not really. Kenny Pickett, that was a miss. Mason Rudolph, like, what are we really doing, right? Like, this is a team that has been as bad at the quarterback position as the Cleveland Browns have been for a long time at this point, right? We're talking about 4 years now, 4 seasons. That's enough for people to accept it. And the lack of any real, like, criticism about this whole thing that they're doing with Aaron Rodgers is surprising to me, right? Like, people are just assuming that this Aaron Rodgers thing is going to work out just exactly as it should, and Aaron Rodgers is going to play well. And there is just a whole lot of reason to doubt all of that, right? Like, every single bit of that when it comes to the Pittsburgh Steelers, because I am seeing signs. If they were happening to a different team, I feel like people would take it more seriously. But since they're happening to the Steelers, and people still look at Pittsburgh like it's 10 years ago, right? Like they're still this championship contending football team when they have just not been a championship contender since I was in college. Like the last time the Steelers were really going for a championship was what, 2016? Like LeBron was on the Cavs beating the Warriors the last time people thought about the Steelers in the Super Bowl picture. And you don't even want to go back to the last time the Pittsburgh's been in the Super Bowl. And I know, okay, I'm a Browns fan, whatever it is. The Browns have never been to a Super Bowl. But still, the point stands is that Pittsburgh has not been a Super Bowl contender for a very long time. And they are getting the benefit of the doubt of a Super Bowl contender when they just haven't been that for a long time, a very long time. Like, when's the last time Pittsburgh been out this second round? Like, when they've been to a count, like, they haven't been in the second round of the playoffs since when? When was the last time they did it, right? When they lost to the Jacksonville Jaguars? Is that the last time they went to the second round? Or was it when they lost to Tim Tebow? Like, to think about that. They lost to Blake Bortles and Tim Tebow, and that might be the last time they were in the second round. Anyways, you're starting to see things pop up that are indicating that this is starting to become what people are calling Cleveland's room, which is a bit of a circus, right? And look, Cleveland's room, quarterback room, has the definite potential to become a circus. I'm not going to deny that, right? You got 4 quarterbacks in there. You got Deshaun Watson menacingly peering from the back and doing his rehab for his Achilles. People keep on mentioning he's going to come back and try to play all this stupid shit. And then you have Shedeur Sanders bringing in a lot of attention, taking the last reps, right? Like it is not a sound quarterback situation in Cleveland, but nor is this situation in Pittsburgh. Look, you got Terry Bradshaw coming out and saying that this whole situation is a joke. It's just a joke. What are you going to do? Bring him in for 1 year? Are you kidding me? That guy needs to stay in California, go somewhere and chew on bark and whisper to the gods out there. Now, if Bernie Kosar, the equivalent, semi-equivalent Browns former quarterback, was out here saying stuff like that about whoever the Browns' presumptive starter was going to be, I'd be concerned. Not to say that you take everything Terry Bradshaw says. Terry Bradshaw, let's be real here. He be on this get off my grass type stuff, right? So I'm not going to say Terry Bradshaw is 100% right here, right? He just kind of don't like Aaron Rodgers' vibe. He don't like the fact that Aaron Rodgers from California, it would appear. Where is Terry Bradshaw from? Because he's from Shreveport, Louisiana. Yeah, he ain't got nothing he wanted to with no dude from California, right? So maybe that is what's going on there, right? But then like even Cam Hayward has said stuff that isn't too flattering about Aaron Rodgers or this current situation that the Pittsburgh Steelers are in. And that's not great, right? That's not great. That is just not a great situation. And then that distracts us all from the main point here, which is we're talking about Aaron Rodgers in 2025, which is to say, this is not 2012 Aaron Rodgers. We're like, yeah, if this shit were going on in 2012, I wouldn't care. They about to have Aaron Rodgers, right? We need to worry about the fact that Aaron Rodgers is coming to the AFC North, and he's going to be an MVP candidate at the quarterback position. That is not the issue. This is not the time that we are at. We are at Aaron Rodgers at 41 years old, who just came off of making the Jets worse win-loss record-wise than they were last season. And you can look at the numbers for Aaron Rodgers, and, it's kind of similar to Russell Wilson. I think they're not that different at this point of their career, where you look at Aaron Rodgers' touchdown to interception ratio and his passing yards, and you go, oh, my God, he was good last year, right? 3,897 yards, 6.7 per, 28 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. But then you zoom into that record, and you're like, damn. They only won 5 games last year. How many games did the Jets win in 2023? The Jets won 7 games in 2023 with one of the worst quarterback situations we have ever seen. So they lost 2 more games with Aaron Rodgers, and I believe both years were under a last place schedule. That tells me that something stinks under the hood, right? And you can tell what starts to stink under the hood when you look at Aaron Rodgers' advanced metrics, because success percentage, he's at the bottom of the league. It was 43% last year. It's one of the worst percentages he's ever had. Now, league-wide, it puts you like in the bottom half of the NFL, but it's not like a horrendous number. Let me go ahead and double check that. Below league average, and it puts him, where does it put him? It puts Aaron Rodgers at 26 in the NFL, slightly above Bo Nix and Russell Wilson. So not great, right? His sack percentages have been rising and rising and rising. His QBR has been dropping. He was 28th last year. He was below Aiden O'Connell, Kirk Cousins, and Russell Wilson, and Joe Flacco when it comes to QBR. And you just look at any advanced metric, EPA per play, they tell you this dude is a bottom 25 quarterback, right? Like that's where he is sitting currently at his age, and that's when he was 41. He's going to go into this season at what? When does he turn 42? He turns 42 in December. So he's going to end the year as a 42-year-old quarterback. Now, you don't have to dig far to understand that not a lot of 42-year-old quarterbacks have had a ton of success in the NFL. And he's coming into this, going to a new team. All of this stuff, right? Learning a new offense, which I imagine for Aaron Rodgers, learning a new offense is not that difficult, right? But learning new teammates, learning a new environment, playing for a new team, and he's going to do this all on a shortened timeline at the quarterback position. And you're telling me this is going to make the Steelers a significantly better team than they were last year? Like, that's what I'm being sold out of the national press, out of Pittsburgh, is that Aaron Rodgers is going to be an upgrade to what they had at the quarterback situation last year, when there is evidence that Aaron Rodgers himself, even what he was last year, which was not awful, is not enough to elevate you win-loss record-wise anymore. And he's an older quarterback. He's not as mobile as he used to be, obviously. He's going to be playing in cold, worse weather even than he was in the NFC East, because at least you get 2 games versus Miami in the AFC East, not the NFC East, the AFC East, right? Yeah, you play Buffalo. Yeah, you play New York. Yeah, you play you play Buffalo, and yeah, you play Boston, but in AFC North, you're getting cold weather games no matter where you play in AFC North, and it's all going to be outside with heavy winds. And look, Aaron Rodgers has played in cold weather a ton before, right? In his youth, in Green Bay, he was playing in cold weather. He was doing his thing. I understand why you wouldn't inherently think that that's an issue. But at 42 years old, cold weather becomes an issue. Hey, let me ask you a question. Where did Tom Brady play at the end of his career? Was it in a cold weather city, or was it in Tampa Bay? Right? Like, the weather, the elements will have more impact the older you get, no matter who you are, even if you're the GOAT. And Aaron Rodgers is not the GOAT. And that's probably going to be a problem for him, right? I talk all the time about how I think Joe Flacco playing for the Browns at 40, it's not a long-term proposition. Like, you can't sit here and tell me with a straight face that Joe Flacco going to sit here and play 17 games for the Cleveland Browns at age 40 when he ain't done it in a while. Now, Aaron Rodgers, to his credit, he played 17 games last year, so you could give him the benefit of the doubt in that scenario. But what you're not going to convince me is that Aaron Rodgers is a riser for a team, or a reason a team can rise, when that just hasn't been the case since 2021, right? The Green Bay Packers were under 500 with Aaron Rodgers in 2022. He did not play in Green Bay, in New York, but one game, and he played like 2 snaps in that one game. In 2023. Then he played with New York again. Now he's coming off an Achilles injury at 41, which these numbers are impressive, coming off an Achilles injury at 41. But still not somebody who's going to make your team better. We look at how Green Bay has been since they have left Aaron Rodgers. 2023, they go 9-8. Last year, they went 11-6. They've been better off without Aaron than with Aaron. Like, this assumption that the Steelers are going to be fine because Aaron Rodgers is going to start from at quarterback. Hey, man, you got to ask questions like, hey, is all of this stuff good for Pittsburgh? Or is this scenario that you're going into? How early is not Tom Brady. Is Aaron Rodgers going to sign? And is Aaron Rodgers worth all of this at this point of his career? Because I think there's a lot to suggest that he's just simply not. And he's only going to get worse as the years go on, or at least you can only assume he's going to get worse as he gets older. So I asked this question to say, how do people look at a situation like that and also not call it a mess? How do people look at a situation like that and also not call it a circus? How do people look at a situation like that and give them the benefit of the doubt? But the Browns, who don't have a quarterback, draft 2 quarterbacks, and then people got everything to say in the world about that, right? It's because Cleveland's an easy target and Pittsburgh's not an easy target. When you talk about Cleveland and you say something negative about Cleveland in the national press, the only people who are going to push back are people like me, people who care about the Browns, right? But when I talk about Pittsburgh like this, I get pushback from everybody. Even Browns fans, they'll be in the comment section. I'm a Browns fan of 20 years, but I got to say, Quincy, I just don't think that you should count out the Steelers like that. Like, people will always push back in favor of Pittsburgh in ways that they would never push back for Cleveland. And part of that is reputation. But I really want to ask you this question. When in the last 10 years, Pittsburgh, not 10 years, when in the last 5 years has Pittsburgh earned any kind of reputation at the quarterback position? They've been just as mediocre as everybody else at the quarterback position. Their success has nothing to do with the quarterback position. And every time they fail in the playoffs, it's always because of the quarterback position. At some point, we got to ask the question, why are they getting a benefit of the doubt? Because they don't even deserve it. Not saying Cleveland does. Cleveland deserves the scrutiny that they're getting. But how do we not look at this Pittsburgh situation with more scrutiny? Because it looks like a mess. It walks like a mess. It sounds like a mess. Then it might just be a mess. And I think that's something that people haven't come to grips to. But let's see what the people are thinking on this. Y'all have a great day. Have an even better night. Peace.